Episode 1. The Youth of Enyo and Elias. Chapter 1. Two Worlds Across the Emerald River. Once upon a time, when the earth was still a grand construction site of Mother Nature, the primeval valley appeared like a giant emerald embedded amidst volcanic mountain ranges that smoldered with gray smoke all year round. Dividing the valley in two was the Emerald River, its waters crystal clear yet roaring powerfully, nurturing vast forests of giant ferns and groves of ancient pine trees that brushed the clouds. On the western bank of the river lay the territory of the mighty Tyrannosaurus Rex Pride. The ground there constantly trembled under heavy footsteps and roars that echoed to the heavens. Living there was a young T-Rex named Neo. Unlike his peers, who were always combative and constantly snapping at one another to fight over scraps of bone, Neo possessed a pair of brilliant emerald green eyes, filled with curiosity about the world rather than bloodlust. He had moss-green skin adorned with vibrant orange stripes along his spine, a testament to the royal bloodline of the supreme leader. However, Neo was mischievous in his own unique way. Instead of practicing hunting, he loved chasing giant prehistoric butterflies or finding ways to climb the highest boulders just to watch the sunset. A tyrant does not gaze at the sky, Neo. You must look down at the ground, where the weak are trembling. Neo's father, a colossal T-Rex scarred from countless battles, would often roar in disappointment whenever he caught his son admiring a wild flower. Neo would only bow his head, but in his heart, he knew this world held far more wonderful things than mere slaughter. Meanwhile, on the eastern bank of the Emerald River, where the coniferous forest was perpetually shrouded in thick fog, stood the sanctuary of the swift and intelligent feathered raptors. Here, a young girl named Lisa was growing up under the strict rules of her tribe. Lisa was a breathtakingly beautiful raptor, boasting soft, magenta-pink feathers accented with loyal purple plumage on her crest and tail. She always wore a multicolored prehistoric bird feather on her head, the only keepsake her late mother had left behind. Lisa was as sharp and quick as a flash of lightning, but she was also a free spirit who refused to conform to the pack's cruel hunting regulations. She loved the music of the wind, the rustle of the leaves, and always wondered, what lies on the other side of the Emerald River, where the fog cannot reach? Chapter 2. A Fated Encounter in the Storm. The rainy season that year arrived much earlier than usual. The sky over the primeval valley turned a dark, leaden gray, lightning ripped through the air, and thunder rumbled ominously, signaling an unprecedented tempest. That day, caught up in chasing a small, injured pterosaur, Neo wandered far too out of the safety zone of the western bank. He found himself trapped in a narrow ravine right at the edge of the Emerald River. At the exact same time on the eastern bank, Lisa was desperately fleeing a terrifying landslide as the mountain behind her tribe suddenly awakened. In her panic, Lisa slipped and fell into the raging, torrential river. The fierce current swept the little raptor away like a dry leaf. "Help me!" Lisa's desperate cry was drowned out by the thunder, but Neo's sharp ears caught it. From the cliffs of the western bank, Neo looked down. Amidst the muddy, roaring floodwaters, a pink figure was desperately clinging to a decaying log. Without a second thought, his instincts kicked in, and the young tyrant plunged into the treacherous waters. The physical prowess of a large carnivore allowed Neo to fight against the current. Using every ounce of his strength, he swam straight toward the log, using his sturdy chest to push it along with Lisa safely into a natural cave hidden behind a downstream waterfall. When Lisa woke up, she found herself lying on a warm bed of dry leaves. Before her, a small fire, ignited when a meteorite struck a nearby dry tree trunk, was crackling and burning. And to her horror, sitting right across from her was a young T-Rex, the mortal enemy of the raptor species. Lisa immediately bared her teeth, her feathers standing on end as she took a defensive stance. "Are you going to eat me, you cruel tyrant?" Neo startled, waving his short arms clumsily with a thoroughly embarrassed look on his face. "Hey, calm down. If I wanted to eat you, I would have left you to be swallowed by the river. My name is Neo. What about you?" Looking into Neo's clear, gentle eyes, which lacked even a shred of malice, Lisa slowly lowered her biological weapons. She sighed in relief and sat down on the ground. "I'm Lisa. Thank you for saving me, Neo. That was the very first night the two lonely souls from two rival species sat together. They shared their dreams, talking about the suffocating nature of their respective packs. Neo spoke of his longing to run free without having to roar, while Lisa described the dances of the wind on the high treetops. That night, the storm outside raged violently, but inside the stone cave, a miraculous friendship quietly began to bloom. Chapter 3: Secret Days in the Deep Forest. After the storm, the Emerald River returned to its peaceful state, but the boundary between the two banks remained unchanged. However, that boundary could not stop Neo and Lisa. They agreed to meet every afternoon, slipping away from their packs to swim across the shallowest part of the river to a small valley hidden behind jagged rocks, a place they called their secret kingdom. In this sanctuary, the two young dinosaurs spent the most carefree and happiest days of their childhood. Neo, with his superior physical strength, was always Lisa's protector. He would use his tough head to ram trees and knock down ripe fruits from the high branches for Lisa, or use his massive body to shield her from the sun whenever she fell asleep exhausted on the grass. In return, the clever and agile Lisa taught Neo lessons a T-Rex had never known. She taught him how to step so softly on dry leaves that it wouldn't startle the tiny birds, and how to listen to the bubbling streams to find the coolest fresh water. Lisa even used multicolored leaves to weave a flower crown and placed it on Neo's head. A mighty T-Rex tyrant wearing a crown of flowers and grinning from ear to ear. If Neo's pack had ever caught sight of this, it would have been an absolute shock. But to Lisa, Neo was the most adorable dinosaur in the world. Once, while playing hide-and-seek, Lisa was accidentally attacked by a swarm of giant prehistoric bees. Hearing his friend's cries, Neo disregarded all danger and charged straight into the beehive, using his orange-striped body to bear hundreds of stings just to shield Lisa. After that incident, Neo's face swelled up terribly, making his eyes squint in a thoroughly comical way. Lisa wept as she used crushed medicinal leaves to gently apply them to his wounds. "You're so silly, Neo. Why did you risk your life for me like that?" Lisa sniffled. Neo giggled, even though his swollen mouth hurt acutely, because Lisa is Neo's best friend. "My father says a T-Rex only uses strength to rule, but I think strength is meant to protect the ones we love." Those innocent words from Neo touched the deepest part of Lisa's heart. She knew that no matter how cruel the world outside might be, by Neo's side, she would always be safe. Chapter 4: The Great Trial and the Moonlight Promise. Childhood eventually passed, and Neo and Lisa gradually grew up. The orange stripes on Neo's back became more vibrant, and his body grew muscular, taking on the shape of a future leader. Lisa's feathers also grew sleeker, shining like the dawn. But their secret was finally discovered. On a fateful afternoon, while the two were watching the sunset by the riverbank, a hunting party from the raptor pack and warriors from the T-Rex tribe accidentally clashed right in the secret valley. The sight of Neo and Lisa standing side by side was like a slap to the pride of both species. A tyrant making friends with a lowly scavenger? What a disgrace to the T-Rex bloodline. Neo's father roared, his eyes flashing with furious rage. "Lisa, you have betrayed the tribe, colluding with a brutal flesh-eating monster." The elder of the raptor pack shrieked, his razor-sharp talons pointing directly at her face. A bloody battle was on the verge of breaking out if a sudden earthquake hadn't shaken the entire land, forcing both packs to retreat to preserve their lives. Neo was escorted back to the western bank and locked away in a dark stone cave. Lisa had her keepsake feathers stripped away and was placed under strict house arrest on the eastern bank. They were forbidden from ever looking across the river again. That night, a full moon hung high, casting silvery light onto the dividing Emerald River. In the dark cave, Neo looked up at the moonlight, his heart aching as he thought of Lisa being punished. Armed with his immense strength and unyielding will, Neo rammed his head against the stone wall, collapsing the entrance of the cave. He ran frantically through the night, heading toward the riverbank. At the exact same time, using the nimbleness and agility of a raptor, Lisa tricked her guards and escaped from her chamber. As if connected by an invisible thread, they both ran toward the part of the river where they had first met. In the middle of the river glistening under the moonlight, The two figures, one large, one small, stood looking at each other across the silvery waters. They couldn't cross over, for patrols from both banks could appear at any moment. Neo! Lisa called out loudly, tears streaming down her cheeks. They will never understand us. Lisa! Neo rumbled softly, his deep, warm voice echoing across the riverbed. Don't be afraid. Trust me. We will grow up, we will become stronger. I promise you, one day, I will build a world where T-Rexes and raptors can live in peace, a place where you and I don't have to hide anymore. Lisa wiped her tears. She took out the multicolored feather, the one she had risked everything to retrieve before escaping, and dropped it into the flowing water. The river carried the feather toward the western bank, right to where Neo was standing. Neo leaned down, gently taking the precious feather into his mouth, and placed it safely inside a stone crevice beside him. I believe you, Neo. I will wait for that day. Lisa smiled through her tears. They stood there, gazing at each other until the very first light of the new day broke on the horizon, signaling a challenging new chapter in their lives. They knew the road ahead would be very long, and they would have to face the harshness of nature and the deep-seated prejudices of their packs. But their pure love and the childhood promise made under the moonlight would remain an eternal lighthouse, guiding Neo and Lisa through it all to eventually write a grand legend later on. The legend of the birth of their baby boy, William, the ultimate creation of a love that defied all boundaries.
Goodbye, see you again.